Hello, I am Dylan Ireland, and I'm presenting my research so far on climate change and how it affects American environmental policy. So for my intro, climate change is basically a change in the normal climate of a region and affects the entire world. My purpose in my research is to analyze problems created by climate change, which then helps create policies that will better the environment. As it stands now, 97% of climate scientists agree that climate change over the last 100 years is very likely due to human activities. This was according to NASA and the latest report from the United Nations IPCC, a panel made up of 1,250 international climate experts and approved by every major government in the world, states that it is 95% sure that humans are the main cause of the current global warming or climate change. I have listed three main points I want to focus on in my research in my paper. One of them is government regulations and businesses. As many know, government and businesses have been fighting for a very long time, especially over environmental regulations. Because especially in the Love Canal case, they need to be held responsible, and to make sure that something like Love Canal doesn't happen again, there needs to be regulations in place. Love Canal was additionally it caused some good out of its outcome, and it created the most expensive environmental law, the Superfund Act. In my research, I have found that businesses would rather take the cheapest way, basically, if the regulation costs more than to pay someone off and dumping your toxic waste in their backyard, then they would be likely to do it unless there would be a regulation in place that weighs out the risk of doing so. My next point is urban development and urban cleanup. If environmentally safe and clean buildings could be more abundant, the environment would be better off because we would be emitting less toxins into the atmosphere as well as the land around us. For the issue of climate change in urban development, there should be changes in housing development, because with climate changing, some areas will have to adapt their architecture to the environment because of climate change. For example, rising sea levels in some places. So they will have to either move more inland or put their house on higher ground or create that. For the issue of cleanup, climate change changes the weather, and so storms are getting stronger and more dangerous, like the increase of the rising temperature in our oceans, which feeds and creates more hurricanes and makes them stronger. And the event of Katrina is a good example because it caused a massive cleanup because of how much destruction there was. A good urban cleanup, just a small community, it would be the Dudley case, where the community came together and cleaned up a wide variety of buildings and parking lots that had become trash-filled, hazardous, and decrepit. And my last point of the three I want to go over today is agriculture. As you all know, with changing climates, plants and agriculture require certain temperatures to grow. For example, if it was 30 degrees all the time in Kansas, we couldn't grow wheat there. It just wouldn't be possible. In recent years, it's caused a great climate change has caused a great problem with our agriculture, because either with increasing temperatures or lowering temperatures, it has changed what we can grow, and it will continue to change unless we do something about it. Even simple changes in temperature, crops that were once fine to be grown have now either not be able to be grown fully or have to be carefully watched to survive. So it's not very effective anymore. The background literature of this topic says that there's often a problem getting policy passed, because there's been multitude of policies introduced into the Congress, but there always seems to be a huge delay, and there's a clash between one side and the other. One who wants the environmental change and the others that don't. So it's a common problem that has happened in our past, and it's still happening. I have discovered in my research just how environmental policy is formed and the ends that people go, especially businesses, to avoid costs. And I've also discovered the future effects of ineffective policy. That's why we need to create effective policy in order to basically make good change. So in my conclusion, this is where I currently am with my research. I want to find more on the continuing effects of climate change on our policy, like how we're going to confront the future problems of food shortages, extreme weather conditions like droughts and floods and storms and the like. I also wish to find a solution for businesses and governments fighting so much, so they're able to cooperate more and we can work together in order to get started on getting this problem fixed. Thank you for listening.